I've walked the trails of Mount Buffalo more times than I can count. I've taken my kids to the lookout, watched the clouds roll over the valley, and felt that strange, sacred silence that only alpine wilderness can offer. But now, every time I look toward that mountain, I feel something else, a shadow, a stain. Because the man who allegedly ambushed and killed two Victoria police officers, Detective Leading Senior Constable Neal Thompson and Senior Constable Vadim Waart, is still out there. And he knows that mountain better than anyone. His name is Dezi Freeman, and this is the update you didn't expect. To understand what's happening now, we need to go deeper into who Dezi Freeman really is. Not just the headlines, not just the ideology, but the man behind the compound, the father, the neighbor, the ghost. Let's go back. Dezi Freeman was born Desmond Christopher Philby in 1969. He grew up in Glen Waverley, a quiet suburb in eastern Melbourne, but even as a child, he didn't fit in. He left school in year 8 to age 13 and never returned. According to a social media post he made years later, he believed the education system was a form of indoctrination. He told friends that school was a prison with bells. In 1977, his family moved to Wodonga, near the border of New South Wales. That's where things started to shift. Freeman became obsessed with bushcraft, survivalism, and fringe legal theories. He spent days alone in the bush, building shelters, tracking animals, and reading about sovereign citizen ideology. He believed the government was illegitimate, that laws didn't apply unless you consented, that your name, your legal name, was a form of control. So he changed it. Desmond Philby became Dezi Freeman, and that wasn't just symbolic, it was tactical. In the early 2000s, Freeman registered a freelance photography business under his new name. He specialized in landscapes, particularly alpine regions. His work was featured by Parks Victoria, and one of his photos was used in a promotional post that's since been deleted. But cached versions still exist. That's how investigators confirmed his Instagram handle, @FreedenD. And that account, it's a rabbit hole. In 2023, Freeman commented on a post calling police the enemies of humanity and the new Gestapo. He wrote, in all caps, "The only good cop is a dead cop, preferably incinerated." He also called for the extermination of politicians and claimed that COVID-19 was a hoax designed to enslave Australians. But it wasn't just online. In 2019, Freeman tried to arrest a magistrate in Wangaratta. He walked into court, declared the judge illegitimate, and attempted to serve papers, accusing them of treason. He was removed from the courtroom. But he didn't stop. In 2021, he was arrested outside Myrtleford Magistrates Court during an anti-lockdown protest. He called police scumbags and criminal filth. He later filed a private prosecution against then-Premier Daniel Andrews, accusing him of treason and fraud. The case was thrown out, but Freeman kept pushing. He also had a long-running feud with his neighbors, the Saccatelli family. They owned a block near Mount Buffalo and used it as a weekend getaway. Freeman claimed they were tormenting him, revving dirt bikes, chainsaws, and shouting abuse. He filmed everything, sent it to a current affair, and in 2018, he appeared in a segment titled Bogans from Mount Buffalo. In that interview, Freeman said, "Sometimes you want to go Braveheart on them and wring their neck, but my camera is my machine gun." His wife, Molly, begged for peace. She was known locally as the mother of Myrtleford, a music teacher who donated food and helped neighbors. But the feud escalated. Freeman claimed the police fined the Saccatellis thousands of dollars for breaching a noise abatement notice. The Saccatellis refused to comment. But here's what you didn't hear in the first episode. Freeman's children, one teenager and two younger kids, were homeschooled on the property. They lived in a converted bus surrounded by bushland, caves, and makeshift structures. Friends of the eldest child described the home as off-grid but tense. One said it felt like a survival camp. You weren't allowed to talk about school or police. If you did, he'd shut it down. Another friend recalled visiting the property and being told not to use their real name. He said names were government property, that if you used your legal name, you were consenting to tyranny. Freeman's partner, Molly, was reportedly arrested alongside their teenage son on August 28, 2025. Both were released pending further inquiries. Police confirmed they were not hostages, but they were present during the shooting. And that shooting, it was brutal. On August 26, 10 officers arrived at Freeman's compound to execute a search warrant related to historical sex offenses and a firearms prohibition order. Freeman allegedly ambushed them with a homemade shotgun and multiple rifles. Detective Neal Thompson was the first to knock. He dealt with Freeman before. He was chosen for the warrant because he had a rapport. He was shot and killed instantly. Senior Constable Vadim Waart was next. He died at the scene. A third officer was shot in the lower body and airlifted to Melbourne. He survived. Freeman fled into the bush, alone, armed, dangerous. Police believe he took the sidearms of the fallen officers and a police radio. He's using it to monitor their movements. Over 300 officers are involved in the manhunt. Drones, helicopters, ASIO, the Australian Federal Police. The terrain is brutal, dense bushland, caves and alpine ridges, and Freeman knows it better than anyone. He's lived on that 20-hectare property for years. He's built shelters, dugouts, possibly bunkers. Locals say he could survive for weeks, maybe longer. One neighbor said, he's like a ghost. He knows every trail, every cave. If he doesn't want to be found, he won't be. Another said, he's not just hiding, he's making a point. And that's the chilling part. Freeman's ideology isn't just fringe, it's militant. He believes he's at war, that police are invaders, that laws are weapons, and that he's the last line of defense. His social media history shows a steady descent into extremism, from conspiracy theories to violent fantasies, from legal challenges to armed resistance. And now 2 officers are dead, a third is wounded, and the community is shattered. Mount Buffalo is closed, the trails are empty, the silence is heavier than ever. For those of us who've called Porepunkah home, who've hiked those ridges and watched the sun set over the valley, this tragedy cuts deep. The mountain we loved now carries the echo of gunfire. Dezi Freeman is still out there, somewhere in the caves, the ridges, the shadows of the bush. He knows better than anyone. And Midnight Narratives will be here when he's found. Before we close tonight's story, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the unimaginable loss suffered by the families of Detective Leading Senior Constable Neal Thompson and Senior Constable Vadim Waart. These men gave their lives in the line of duty, protecting the community we all call home. Their courage, their sacrifice, and their service will not be forgotten. To their loved ones, to the officers still recovering, and to every member of Victoria Police affected by this tragedy, our thoughts and prayers are with you. We stand with you in grief, in solidarity, and in remembrance. This story is far from over, but for now, we pause to honor those who didn't make it home. Stay safe, stay kind, and hold your people close.